Okay, when we got married, Todd had got his first show that his company was producing for a network. So he had to leave immediately the day after our wedding to go to LA to produce this show.
No one saw it coming. Nobody could have guessed that one night of fun at a Broadway play would turn into the kind of wake-up call that shakes a family to its core. Todd Tucker, husband of reality star and singer Kandi Burruss, thought he was just enjoying a night out when his world flipped upside down. Todd had been in high spirits. He'd been looking forward to seeing Sunset Boulevard on Broadway, a play he'd heard so many good things about. The lights, the stage, the music, everything was going just fine. But then, in the middle of the performance, Todd's body started sending him signals that something was wrong. At first, he brushed it off. He felt a sharp pain in his chest. His left arm started to go numb. His blood pressure shot up so high that his friends noticed he was struggling to stay calm. But Todd, being the type of man who hates to show weakness, tried to wave it away. He told himself it was nothing, maybe stress, maybe just a bad meal earlier in the day. He thought the pain would pass. But his friends weren't buying it. They could see the color draining from his face, see him sweating, see that something was seriously off. They didn't waste any time. Someone dialed 911 immediately, and soon Todd was on his way to the hospital. Even then, Todd tried to calm everyone down. As paramedics rolled him into the emergency room, he kept insisting it was just a small problem, nothing big. But deep down, a part of him knew this wasn't something he could ignore. The doctors ran tests. They checked his heart, his blood pressure, his overall condition. Hours passed. Finally, the results came back. The good news? Todd was stable. The scare wasn't as life-threatening as it first appeared. He wasn't in the worst shape, but the truth was clear: his body had been warning him to slow down. When Todd finally got to sit up and breathe without pain, relief washed over him. But so did a heavy dose of reality. He realized just how close he'd come to something much worse. Later, when he spoke to his fans online, Todd admitted that it was a wake-up call. He warned everyone not to ignore their bodies when something feels wrong. "Don't be afraid to ask for help," he wrote. "Listen to your body. It could save your life." Fans praised him for being open. His message inspired a lot of people who often push through stress, thinking it's nothing. For Todd, though, this was just the beginning of his battle. While his health was improving in the hospital, his personal life was unraveling in ways he hadn't expected. Because as Todd was trying to heal, he was hit with a different kind of pain, one that no doctor could fix. Kandi Burruss, his wife, had been right by his side through the scare. But someone else wasn't there, and her absence spoke louder than words. Riley, Kandi's daughter from a previous relationship, refused to visit Todd in the hospital. It wasn't just about her staying away. It was about what she said when people asked her why. Riley claimed that Todd's health scare was karma that he was suffering because of the way he had treated people in the past, especially her. Her words sliced deeper than the chest pain ever could. For years, Riley had accused Todd of favoring his biological daughter, Kayla, over her. She said she always felt like second best, like Todd loved Kayla more. And now, when Todd needed her the most, instead of showing compassion, Riley chose distance and anger. The revelation left fans stunned. Families fight, sure. Kids and step-parents don't always see eye to eye. But for Riley to refuse to even check on Todd's health? To say that he somehow deserved it? That was harsher than anyone expected. Kandi was shaken to her core. As a mother, she wanted to protect Riley's feelings. But as a wife, she also wanted her husband to feel supported. For the first time, Kandi felt torn between the two most important people in her life. The tension only grew when Riley made another shocking confession. She admitted she had secretly taken thousands of dollars from her mom, sneaking the money to fund wild parties behind Kandi's back. It wasn't teenage pocket change. It was serious money and serious betrayal. Kandi was blindsided. She had always trusted Riley. To find out that her daughter had gone behind her back, stealing and lying, was devastating. And Riley hadn't even told her in private. She revealed it in an interview, making the betrayal public. It wasn't just about the money. It was about broken trust, respect, and honesty. For Kandi, who prided herself on raising strong and responsible kids, Riley's actions felt like a slap in the face. While all this was happening, Kayla, Todd's daughter from his previous relationship, finally spoke up too. She had always been quiet, the type to stay in the background, trying not to stir the pot. But this time, she couldn't stay silent. In her own interview, Kayla revealed that Kandi had once told her she would throw her out of the house. Kayla explained that she never felt fully accepted in Kandi's home, never felt like one of her own children. That pain had followed her for years. Her words exposed another crack in the family. Kayla wasn't attacking anyone, she was just telling her truth. And her truth was that she felt like an outsider, unloved, and unappreciated. For Kayla, it wasn't about money or favoritism. It was about belonging. She wanted to feel like she was part of the family, but instead, she often felt invisible. So here was Todd, lying in a hospital bed, his body healing but his heart breaking. He was caught between two daughters who felt wronged in different ways. Riley felt ignored, unloved, and pushed aside. Kayla felt rejected, like she would never truly belong. And in trying to balance both, Todd realized he had failed to heal either one. The emotional pain cut deep. He had always been proud of being a present father. But now he was staring at the reality that his family was fractured. Riley's harsh words replayed in his head, her saying that his health scare was punishment for his mistakes. Those words haunted him more than the beeping monitors in the hospital room. Kayla's confession didn't make things easier. To know that she had felt unwanted for so long was like another blow to his heart. Kandi, meanwhile, was stuck in the middle, watching everything unravel. She was angry at Riley for stealing and for being cruel to Todd. She was guilty for the way Kayla had felt in her house. And she was terrified of losing her husband to both illness and heartbreak. As Todd recovered, the real battle wasn't about his health anymore. It was about whether this family could survive the emotional damage that years of resentment had caused. Could Riley forgive Todd for the past? Could Kayla ever feel accepted by Kandi? Could Todd bring his daughters together when the wounds were so deep? He didn't know the answers. But he knew one thing: giving up wasn't an option. Todd decided he would fight not just for his health, but for his family. He wanted to rebuild trust with Riley, even if it meant facing her anger head-on. He wanted Kayla to know that she wasn't an outsider, that she was just as much his child as anyone else. But healing would take time. It would take honesty, patience, and forgiveness. And in that hospital room, Todd realized it wouldn't be easy. Families don't break overnight, and they don't heal overnight either. Still, he was determined to try. What started as a health scare had exposed years of hidden pain, anger, and unspoken words. The Tucker Burruss family had been pushed to their breaking point. Fans watched closely, wondering if Todd's recovery would also mean a recovery for his family. Or if the damage was permanent. One thing was clear: life had given Todd a second chance. And he wasn't going to waste it. Because at the end of the day, no amount of fame, money, or success means anything if the people you love are broken beyond repair. Kandi Burruss had always believed she was doing her best as a mother. She worked hard, she loved deeply, and she thought she was giving Riley and Kayla the support they needed. In her heart, she never imagined that either of them would feel neglected. But the truth, as it came crashing down, was far different from the picture she had painted for herself. When Kayla admitted that she had spent years feeling like an outsider, it shook Kandi to her core. Kayla's words replayed in her mind over and over, especially the painful memory that Kayla once believed Kandi would throw her out of the house. That single confession carried years of unspoken pain. To Kayla, it wasn't about one argument or one bad day. It was about years of quietly watching her stepmother pour love into other children while she stood in the shadows, wondering if she truly belonged. Kandi had always thought she was fair. She tried to balance her love between all the children in her blended family, but Kayla's truth made her realize that love and fairness don't always look the same to every child. Kayla hadn't needed equal gifts or equal attention. She had needed to feel wanted, and she hadn't. That guilt weighed on Kandi like a stone pressing against her chest. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that it wasn't one or two incidents that broke her bond with Kayla. It was years of small cracks that went unnoticed. Every time Kayla felt excluded, every time she stood on the outside of family moments, every time she went unheard, those cracks deepened. And now, those cracks had turned into a canyon, separating them so far apart that Kandi didn't know how to cross. At the same time, Riley's betrayal added another layer of pain. Kandi had always trusted her oldest daughter. She believed Riley knew how much she sacrificed to give her the best life possible. So when Riley admitted that she had secretly stolen thousands of dollars to fund parties, it cut deeper than any ordinary teenage rebellion. It wasn't about the money, it was about betrayal, about lies, about breaking trust in the one relationship Kandi thought was unshakable. Now Kandi found herself standing in the middle of two daughters who were both hurting in very different ways. Kayla's pain came from feeling unloved, while Riley's pain came out in rebellion and anger. And all of it collided at the same time. Todd was fighting for his health. Kandi felt like she was pulled in every direction at once. On one side was her husband, who had just faced the scariest health crisis of his life and needed her support. On the other side were her daughters, whose emotional wounds threatened to tear the family apart completely. For the first time in years, Kandi admitted to herself that she wasn't in control. She couldn't fix this with quick solutions. She couldn't smooth it over with gifts, dinners, or vacations. What this family needed was honesty, and that scared her more than anything. Because honesty meant admitting she had made mistakes. Kandi had to face the truth that she hadn't always been the mother Kayla needed her to be. She had to admit that she hadn't seen Riley's cries for attention until it was too late. She couldn't erase the years of neglect or the sting of betrayal. But she could decide what to do moving forward. Meanwhile, Todd was carrying his own burdens. Lying in the hospital, he thought about all the moments he had missed. All the times Riley looked at him with disappointment. All the times Kayla tried to prove she belonged but still felt invisible. For years, he told himself he was doing the best he could as a father. But the more he replayed Riley's harsh words, the more he realized that his best might not have been enough. Riley's anger wasn't just a phase. It was the result of years of feeling like she came second. Her cold refusal to visit him in the hospital showed just how broken things really were. And while the chest pain that landed him in the ER eventually faded, the pain of hearing his daughter say his health scare was karma lingered far longer. Todd didn't want his family to stay broken. He wanted healing. He wanted his daughters to know that he loved them, even if he hadn't always shown it in the ways they needed. He decided that no matter how hard it was, he wasn't going to stop trying. So he reached out to Riley. He called her, even when she didn't answer. He left voicemails, even when they went unheard. He sent texts, even when they were ignored. He made it clear in every way he could that his love wasn't conditional, that he would always be there when she was ready to talk. Deep down, Todd knew he couldn't force Riley to forgive him. He couldn't erase the pain she felt. But he could be consistent, and he could prove over time that his words weren't empty. Kandi, too, began her own journey of repair with Kayla. She knew that apologies had to come from the heart, and this time, she couldn't hold anything back. She sat down with Kayla and told her the words she should have said years ago. She admitted her mistakes. She admitted that she had made Kayla feel like an outsider. She told Kayla she was sorry not just for the things she did wrong, but for the things she failed to notice. Kandi promised to do better, not just in words, but in actions. She wanted Kayla to feel loved, not just tolerated. She wanted her to feel like part of the family, not a guest in her own home. Kayla listened quietly. The pain was still there, and forgiveness wouldn't come overnight. But for the first time, she felt like Kandi was truly seeing her. That moment of honesty didn't erase years of hurt, but it cracked open the door to healing. Still, things didn't change overnight. Riley remained distant. Kayla remained cautious. And Todd and Kandi had to face the painful truth: some wounds take years to heal, if they ever do. But they refused to give up. Todd was determined to show Riley that she was loved, even if she never forgave him. Kandi was determined to prove to Kella that she was more than just a stepchild, she was family. Every day brought new challenges. Some days ended in silence, some in tears, and some in small, hopeful moments of progress. But Todd and Kandi had made up their minds. They weren't going to stop fighting for their family. The road ahead was uncertain. They knew there were no guarantees. Maybe Riley would forgive, maybe she wouldn't. Maybe Kayla would learn to fully trust Kandi, maybe she wouldn't. But what mattered was that they were trying. Because families don't stay together by accident. They stay together because people choose to fight for each other, even when it's hard. Todd and Kandi learned that healing doesn't come in one big moment. It comes in small steps, through apologies, through patience, through showing up every single day. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick. But it was worth it. And in the end, that's what gave them hope. Even if their family was cracked, even if they were scarred, there was still love. And love was enough to keep them moving forward. As the dust settles around Martell Holt, one thing is clear: this chapter in his life is far from over. The man who once seemed untouchable, the man who carried himself with unshakable pride and charm, is now standing on the edge of losing everything. His freedom, his family, his reputation, all of it is slipping through his fingers faster than he can grab onto it. For years, Martell believed he could control the story. He thought he could bend the truth, paint himself as the victim, and convince the world that he was just misunderstood. But the truth has a way of rising to the surface, no matter how much someone tries to bury it. And now, the truth is staring him right in the face. People who once cheered him on are now shaking their heads. Friends who once defended him are now keeping their distance. Even the public that used to eat up his charm is starting to see him for who he really is: a man who let ego and anger guide him down a road he may never come back from. The courts have spoken, the evidence is piling up, and the patience of the people around him is running thin. Melody, the woman he once thought he could break, is standing taller than ever. She's no longer living in his shadow, no longer afraid of what he might do next. She's using her strength and her voice to move forward, while Martell is still stuck in the past, chained to his own mistakes. And that's the sad part. Martell's downfall isn't just about bad luck, it's about choices. Every wrong move, every bitter word, every time he let pride win over peace, it all built up into the mess we see today. The warning signs were always there, but Martell didn't listen. And now, he's facing the harsh reality of what happens when you ignore the truth for too long. The question now isn't just what will happen in the courtroom. It's deeper than that. It's about whether Martell can ever truly change. Can he finally face himself without pointing fingers? Can he accept that the man in the mirror is the one who created this storm? Because until he does, nothing will change. Right now, Martell is closer to a jail cell than he's ever been. And the sad truth is, if he doesn't wake up soon, that might be exactly where he ends up. Not because the world is against him, not because people are out to get him, but because he simply couldn't let go of his pride long enough to do what was right. This is more than just another scandal. This is a turning point. Either Martell will finally learn from his mistakes and rebuild his life, or he'll continue down this road until there's nothing left to lose. The world is watching, and time is running out. And that's the ending nobody expected, but the one Martell brought on himself.